The idea, insight, or secret you need for massive impact is just moments away. It's time to claim your career crown. The podcast where business owners and entrepreneurs share the keys to the kingdom to help you open the vault to your greater success. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strategic Sales Queens. I got to get that right after the whole rebrand. Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I am the Strategic Sales Queen, Lynn Whitbeck, and I am so excited to welcome our special guest today, Molly Klipp. And we're going to be talking about how to get your life back without impacting client experience. So what a great conversation, because you know what? A lack of systems can quietly drain your time, energy, and profits. Setting boundaries and creating simple processes can feel overwhelming, but Molly's going to share how to get started in a way that actually gives you your life back. And I'd like to remind you, if you love the episode, you love the show, you can go ahead and subscribe, and you'll always have the next episode in your feed. And please give us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Molly. Molly is the founder of Carefree Beauty Permanent Makeup and the profit coach with Beauty Business Mastery. Man, a mouthful, right, Molly? And I will personally say I've worked with Molly. My eyebrows are a living testament of working with Molly. Amazing experience. And with over 40 years in the beauty industry, she helps beauty business owners simplify, systemize, and succeed through clear processes, stronger boundaries, and better client experiences. She brings a story-driven, practical approach rooted in real-life lessons. Molly, I am so thrilled to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me, Lynn. We had such a great conversation while I was doing your brows. We just had to continue it on. You and I have really similar backgrounds, so yeah.
I know we did. We had such a great time and such a good conversation. So I can't wait till the next time I go back.
You know, it's so funny. It's the favorite thing. People say, when are you going to retire? I said, why would I retire? I said, I get to socialize. It's my social life. It's my creative time. It's fun.
It is. And it is. And there's that artistic and creative side that's really just gives that extra sparkle, at least for me.
Yeah.
So Molly, what inspired you to get started doing this type of work, helping beauty business owners with systems and strategy?
Because I did it all wrong. Okay. In my first business, I'd be the first one to tell you I did it all wrong. My husband and I, when we were only 28 years old, moved to Seattle to open up a cosmetic franchise, and we paid $89,000 for it. Had absolutely no idea business-wise. I knew how to sell, I knew how to market, I knew how to build, but we built it from scratch. There was one person in the company at the time, and we built it to a multi-million-dollar business. Did that for 30 years. During that time, I spent hours and weeks and I can't even tell you how much time in my car, a lot of it, learning how to market, learning how to talk to people, learning how to get the mindset right, how to be able to build a business and what to do. But in those 30 years, there was not one single class on business. There wasn't a class on how to do what to do with your money. There wasn't a class on how to organize your money or how to save it, or none of that, which I look back going, that's when I should have hired a business coach. But I buried my head in the sand like a lot of beauty business owners do. When I started doing Carefree Beauty Permanent Makeup, I was 58 when I shifted gears. We were in an unusual situation at the time, I had created such a culture in our franchise and such a systems and monthly newsletters. And I had a system of how to do everything to make the business grow and work that for the first time, and I think we're the only one, the company actually bought our franchise back from us, which was unheard of. They just didn't do that. But we had created such a culture that they wanted that back. and which I was very happy to sell it to them because I was starting Carefree Beauty. When I started Carefree Beauty, I gave myself a year to get myself back up to the 6 figures in revenue, and I did it in 11 months because of the marketing experience that I had and what to do. And it just never occurred to me it wouldn't work. When I started with permanent makeup, and this is kind of a longer story for it, but this is the reason why it all happened. When I joined the Society of Permanent Cosmetics Professionals, they had me speak. And I thought in my head, because we have these different imposter feelings, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Yeah. And I kept wondering why they were asking me to speak. They actually asked me to be a board member. Why do you want me to be a board member? And it wasn't until I started speaking and teaching on these business techniques and systems that I realized that people in the beauty industry don't know this stuff. We are so focused on our skill, whether it's lashes or massage or hair or whatever in the beauty industry is, we focus on doing that. We don't focus on marketing. We don't focus on business. And so it overwhelms us. When we had the franchise, my husband and I have been married 49 years. We've raised 4 kids doing it. So I'm kind of an expert on this of how to be able to blend your life with it. And there's a way to do it. And you have to set boundaries for yourself for it. One of the things that, like I said, when we started the Carefree Beauty business, and the reason I started Beauty Business Mastery, because I had so many people asking me, we don't know this stuff. You got more? You got more? You got more? And when I started being a coach, the president of SPCP hired me on the spot. She goes, I want to be your first client. She goes, I already know what you can do. And she goes, and I want that. So it just came out of the fact that people were asking me questions, and I thought that they knew all this stuff and found out they didn't. Yeah. I bet you hear that all the time.
No, that's really, it's because you did the work, you figured it out, you took the long road around to travel a short distance, but once you had that in place, all of a sudden you realized there was a huge gap where people were there, trying to figure it out on your own is incredibly challenging.
Yes.
And I see that, and I don't want to project here, because I'm going to ask you, what is the main problem you help your clients solve?
There's twofold. One of which is systems in place so that they can have a life. Okay. One of the first things I knew I needed to do was to get everything systemized. So my booking system, that was the one. I find a lot of people, I was talking to a client the other day, and she's 68 years old, wants to retire. And I said, well, do you have an email list? Oh no, I only text them. I only call them and text them. I said, you don't have any emails? She'd been in business 20 years. Couldn't understand why her business was falling off. And I'm like, you got to have communication with your people. Well, I text them all the time. I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. So, one of the things that I thought was, all right, so I've got to be able to stay in communication. Now, I learned that in my first business. I did monthly newsletters. I hired a business coach when I did Carefree Beauty because I thought I've got to learn some stuff. And the year that I worked with Deb Page is who I worked with. You know her. And,
yeah.
Yep, I know her well. And she blew me away with some of the stuff. And it was stuff that I had done before, but I didn't realize how important it was. So I started doing monthly newsletters. And it started off with beauty tips. I'm going to give you beauty tips. And then it ended up with, what's my family doing this month? Oh, let's just talk about that. Or what travels have I done or whatever. Well, I have a 56% open rate because people just want to hear who I am. And that's probably, especially, I've taken AI classes and learning all this stuff. And one of the things that I'm learning with AI and people, and I know this is kind of off the subject, but it's so pertinent today, is that people think that AI is going to take over. Well, the bottom line is, more than ever, is people want you to be authentic. They want to see who you are, what your life is like. And, again, I'm not telling them all the terrible things. I'm just telling them the good things, obviously. But it's one of the things that people want to be able to, they want to be happy. They want to be around people that are happy, and they want people who are interested in them. And so the booking system, what it allowed me to do is to be able to take care of the emails that went out to remind them, the text messages that went out to remind them, the thank you notes, the email that goes out to do a referral. Can you write a referral for me? All of that stuff is automated. so that I don't have to think about it. And that was a big one because I was old school. I had the book, wrote all the stuff down. I was old school. And I won't say that I started that way. I mean, I did both the book and the online system. And finally, after I screwed up a couple of, appointments, I said, okay, fine, I'm doing one. Okay, we're doing online. And it's so much simpler. And it's if you're in business for a long time, it's kind of it's a tough shift to go because there's a lot of backup work you got to do. But because I started from the very beginning, when I started Carefree Beauty Business, I began with the end in mind. That was kind of my whole motto, begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And my whole motto was to set it up so that it's systemized, that it's automatic, that everything is taken care of automatically, so that when the time came that I was ready to sell it, it was going to be worth something to somebody. And that's unique in the beauty business because people don't do that. In the beauty business, they just walk away. I can count on one hand how many people I know that actually sold their business. Most of them just walk away. And to me, that's a travesty. That's just wrong. For all the years you work in your business, you can't. And to me, it's a dishonor to your clients because you want your clients to have somebody you can trust. Otherwise, they're going to sit there and go, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I've been in a situation with a couple of different hair salons that just simply closed.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like, and then trying to figure out like where they went. They didn't have email lists, I mean, they could, and it's like I had a set, hairdresser, and it was like, well, I don't even know where she is anymore.
And
so because the salon closed.
If you knew she was going to go and could have given you a referral to who you could go to.
Well, eventually I ended up finding her, but it was not easy, and but that's the thing. If back in my bad old corporate days when I moved my entire client base with me.
Right.
And so
because it's like, worth something.
Absolutely. It was my livelihood. Right. Yeah. But it also when I moved, I mean, I was highly desirable because I was bringing a book of business, and I brought 100% of that book of business with me.
Yep.
So, and that idea that you don't have a viable business, I mean, to your point, that's after the investment that you've made in that business, not just, there's the time and the energy, the blood, sweat, and tears, and you've built this book of business and this loyal clientele, just like a dentist sells a practice, right? Or a doctor. Right. It's the same idea. You bring somebody in who's new, who's getting trained, and they buy you out. Yep. So I think that's
the way it should be done.
Absolutely.
Just it's a trust factor of going from one step to the next step. And I've had clients ask me, are you going to retire? And I said, I'm not ready. I mean, even with Beauty Business Mastery, I'm like, Beauty Business Mastery started from a desire to help other beauty business owners. That's where it started. And so, creating online classes and creating coaching classes and mentoring classes, these are all the things that I am in the process of building. I'm in the process of a book as well, just to be able to ease these beauty business owners that think that they're excited about what they know, but they know they don't know it all. And I'm there to put in the pieces, to be able to, fill in those blanks so that they can be able to climb faster and so much easier than I did. Oh, I wish I had somebody like me when I started. It would have been so fun, right?
I always say I'm the poster child for taking the long road around to travel a short distance.
I know. I always said that I was a 20-year overnight success story.
So Molly, I love what you're talking about in this, but I like to sort of get into the nitty gritty of how you help your clients solve these problems. And if you have a process or a specific approach you follow, how do you do it?
Okay. So it's communication. To me, it's all about communication, knowing who your people are. When I have a conversation with somebody, I learned years ago how to start a conversation with people because I was not the social creature when I started. And so I learned there was 5 questions to ask people. And before you ask those questions, you have to ask yourself, the question is, do you want to be interested or interesting?
Yeah.
Okay. Because interesting means blah, 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 right? Interested is tell me about you.
Yeah.
And so when those 5 questions, and they will vary, but they're pretty much current. I do it naturally now, but when I think about it, it's, how did you find out who I was? And if it was a referral, how did you meet your friend? And if it wasn't a referral, it's like, so how long have you been thinking about doing permanent makeup? And so those are those kind of questions. But then we get into the personal. Are you married? Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? Then how old are they? Do they live here? How many grandchildren do you have? Do you get to see them? I mean, do you see how the conversation just
Yeah.
keeps going? Did you work? Are you retired? What's your hobbies? And, do you do gardening? Do you travel? People love talking about themselves.
Yeah.
They absolutely love talking about themselves. Give them a chance to do it. And so this is something that I learned in my beauty business, when I started the franchise, and just have carried it on through my entire life. And my kids all, when they were little, they were like, Mom, how the heck do you know everything about everybody? I mean, they tell you their entire life story within 5 minutes. I said, you just ask a couple questions, they'll tell you everything, and I'm interested, I am
Yeah.
really always interested in who the people are. And so telling stories about, people telling their stories and wrapping it up, and we end up becoming friends. So when people come back for a color boost, it's like you were talking about before, it's like, okay, so what's going on in your life? What's happening? Okay, how's the business going? And so we literally create a whole nother conversation, because building this. And so with the the booking system that I've got that got the reminders, but then I took it another level, and during COVID, and I was going absolutely crazy. I learned very early in on that COVID thing that I'm not a person who likes to have no control. Okay. What a shock. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is I started using mailbox power, and I started sending out referral thank you cards along with brownies. And so now I market to my people going, you send me a referral, I'll send you brownies along with $50 off your next procedure. And what I was funny about this is they like the card better and the brownies better than the $50 off. And then I always send thank you postcards to the people who come to see me once they're done with their procedure. I send a thank you postcard, again, personal note. I send out a birthday card. That's automatic. It's all in the system. It's all taken care of. There is a year anniversary. On the year of their anniversary, a postcard goes out. Did you check your color boost? And now that I've been doing AI, I'm playing with the avatars. I'm having some fun with that. So, it's all, again, the mailbox system allows me to systemize everything and touch. So somebody else just got married, or somebody, passed away in their family. I can go in and I can send them off a card, because it does make a difference of having something, in your hands. The newsletter does one part of it. And I always ask, tell me what's going on in your life. And I get a lot of emails back from that going, oh, I just love your newsletter. I just love to hear about your family. Oh, your quotes are so pretty, and your kids are married. And, we just are involved with each other's life, because people do care. They do care, and they do want to know. And it's not an age thing. This is not an age thing. I have my 20-year-olds and my 90-year-olds who still say the same thing. They want to know who you are. And you can do this on a system. Like today, I'm going to be doing my newsletter, for the end of beginning of April. I get my newsletter done. I have I go into Constant Contact. That's what I use. I know people use other things, but I've been using that for 25 years. So I know how to use all of that stuff. It's connection. It's connection is the big thing, is people want to know that you care. I had somebody come in to me this last week who I'd been seeing, and she had gone to see somebody else, didn't like the results she got, came into me to fix it. And the biggest complaint she had wasn't the mistake that the other lady did. The biggest complaint she had was she didn't listen to me. I told her that this was wrong. I told her I wanted this different, and she told me I was wrong, and she wouldn't listen to me. That's the biggest complaint I get, is when somebody comes to me because of that, is they don't listen to me. My feeling is, if I'm doing your face, you look in the mirror a whole lot longer than I do. And so therefore you have precedent over what I think. I can tell you what looks good aesthetically, but if you look in the mirror and don't feel comfortable, that rules always. And I guess to me, it's paying attention to your clients and who they are. That's a big thing for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The client, that there is that, the client's always right. And yes, there are exceptions to that, but in general, it's because that's their perception, and their perception equals truth.
Yes.
And we just have to get out of our own way about that.
Yes.
So I'm going to take a step back because I'd love to hear your perspective on why systems and boundaries are such a problem or a challenge. Either they're a problem or a challenge, or it's a problem challenge
Right.
for so many, for not just beauty business owners, but any business
Yeah.
owners.
Any business owner. I've been an entrepreneur for 43 years and run 3 companies. Okay. Building a business with my family. And one of the things I learned right away is you have to set boundaries for yourself. So from day one, I never worked Sundays ever. And I remember the one time I did it, and I was mad the entire time. And I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I'm just never doing it again. When I started Carefree Beauty, I made a decision I wasn't going to work Saturdays or Sundays because I had been doing that in my other company and wanted more control of my time. As I started building that company, then I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I have an admin day. So I was working 5 days a week and had Tuesdays as my admin day. Now that was the day that I did all of the social media posts. I wrote all the emails. That was where I did all this, worked in the business,
Right.
on the business, which way it is, on the business, not in the business. Okay. And that was because if you don't have an admin day, and that's where I teach my people, because that really has made one of my clients, she's like, oh my gosh, that's been a game changer. I've been able to get so much done. And you don't feel like you're cutting into your personal time.
Right.
Because if you don't have a personal time and all you talk and think and do, and I've been there, okay, my first business, I did this, so I know, if all you're doing is thinking and talking about your business, nobody wants to be around you, especially your family. And guess what? Bottom line. And my husband said something to me years and years and years ago, which really hit me. And I was probably in my 30s at the time. And he said to me, Molly, he says, you care more about your consultants and the people that you are working with than you do about your own family. You spend more time with them. And I got to tell you, that was a hard thing. Never forgot it. Changed my ways. He was right. And so these are some of the things you have to look to going, who are you hurting when all you're doing is consuming yourself with your business? When if you could learn some quick steps of how to be able to save some time and still be able to keep your marketing and keep your business going, how much of a difference could it make to your family? Because they're the ones that are going to be around forever. They're the ones that are going to be there. They care more than anybody else will, bottom line.
Yeah.
And that's where the boundaries got to be set. You got to know your boundaries.
Yeah, that's so true. Why do you think this issue, is often a blind spot until someone feels burned out or overwhelmed?
Because all you're doing is thinking about it. You're thinking about, okay, I've got to get 10 appointments up this week. I've got to get this done. I've got to set up this. How am I going to get that extra client? What else can I do? I'm doing this and this and this. What else can I do? I'm going to these network meetings, which on the flip side, beauty business owners don't do networking, which I never understood. In all the years I've done networking, I hardly ever see beauty business owners in there. And that is a gold mine for them. That's one of the things I teach is how to network, what to say, how to say it, and how to get connected, because that's a gold mine that beauty businesses do not use.
Yeah, we met at a networking event.
Right?
You and I met at a networking event.
We did.
And then I heard people talking about you and raving about you, and I walked right up to you, bold as brass, and said, I'm interested.
Yep, I remember you coming up to me and doing it, because it's how many people, and you've been networking, how many beauty business owners have you ever seen there?
You were like literally have been the only one.
Yeah.
Because actually there was another networking event I was recently at, and she does something with nails.
Yeah.
I was actually sort of curious, and I was going like, well, this looks really cool, because it's instead of it being fake acrylics and all this other stuff that ruins your nails, it was some new product.
See?
But I was like, well, I'm actually interested because I don't, and it was like, well, wait, what is that? I mean, but it was like this sidebar conversation, and then the thing started. So I never really got the chance. And
But she got your interest.
Yeah, she did. And so now it's like, who was that? And will I be able to connect with her again? And some networking events have more intentional networking so that you, others, it's sort of like, who do you know in the room? And then you just sort of, so there's got to be a balance between all the things, and it can't be this horrible pitch fest. Ugh, that's just icky.
No.
So you got to be in the right room. Absolutely. But I
Find
love that you're teaching this to
Yes.
those business owners, because I've had a group that's been interested in coming to my events, and I have scheduled them and their people multiple times, and they've yet to show up.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of done. I'm not following up. And it's like, you know, now the owner has twice at least given me a heads up that they ended up getting appointments and all that. But I'm going like, you're not making this a priority.
Hmm.
We're literally got a room of your ideal clients,
Right.
literally a room of your ideal clients, and you're not showing up.
And I don't
So,
understand.
yeah,
Not if you want to build. Not if you want to
yeah,
build. If you're happy in your little, in your little space, that's one thing. But if you are looking to market and get other people,
yeah.
it
Networking is still such a solid sales strategy, business
always,
growth strategy,
always.
marketing,
And I
all the
think it's a
things.
good, I think it's a good lesson. Every single time you go, you get better and you
Yeah,
learn. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, you learn to speak in public, because a lot of people, oh, I don't want to speak in public. Well, you speak in public every single day.
yeah,
you know, it just depends how many people you're talking to. That's all.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, what's one thing listeners can do next if they want more structure and freedom in their business?
If you don't already have a system in place, you can book a strategy call with me if you'd like. And then that way you can, we'll tell you more about that. But you can book a strategy call. I have an assessment questionnaire that I can send you that literally will find out where your hot spots are and where your cold spots are, because everybody's different as to where it is. I find most of the time in the beauty business, they are so overwhelmed with the day-to-day stuff that they have a hard time thinking about the structure stuff, right? Because they're like so mired in the muck that structure sounds like a great idea, but I don't have time to put it together, right?
Yeah,
And so that's my job is to be able to put those little boxes around it, to be able to give you back some more time, give you back confidence too, because when you are mired in the muck and you're feeling like you're drowning,
yeah,
you lose your confidence that you could do this. And so then it gets really scary as when you lose your confidence that, oh, maybe I should walk away.
yeah,
And walking away isn't the answer. Finding out how to fix it is the answer. And if you can, talk to, someone like me who can give you the step by step what to do, what's your next step, because everybody's different as to where they are. Some people
yeah,
have been in business 20 years. Some people have been in business 5. Some people are looking to start a business and they want to do it right. And
yeah,
so because I've done it all from beginning to end, and I know actually, one of the things that as I'm coming across, as I'm working on Beauty Business Masteries, finding out is that most beauty business owners don't have a legacy and plan and
yeah,
place to sell it. And I have to tell you, this is a big message. If you ever want to sell your business, if you do not have systems in place, you're not going
yeah,
to get the value.
yeah,
Uh, One of my very best friends who taught me how to do permanent makeup, and I've worked with her for 12 years. She's an artist, absolutely fabulous at what she does. And I've talked to her for years about setting up systems. I got her halfway there, but not all the way. So she just retired last year and walked away from her business. And that was a good friend. And I gave her everything of what to do and how to do it and just didn't do it. So it's sad to me when you,
yeah. No, it is, especially because that's an additional legacy
yes,
for her. I mean, to just, um, yeah, that is.
I'm
I'm
brokenhearted and
sorry,
I
but
can't
I'm just
say,
like going,
right? I know.
and I always look at all the things that you have to have in place so that you
Yes.
can have what I call a viable business. So,
Yes. Yes.
um, and if anyway, wow.
No.
Okay, well, Molly, on a cheerful note, let's move on. Is there anything you wish I'd asked you today, which I have not?
Um, I, I was thinking about that today is that, um, with money. Okay, we didn't
Yeah.
talk about money. And I have created a system how to have buckets of money so that when tax time comes, and I will give total credit to my business coach for this, because when now I've learned that every single week with my revenue, I take 20% of that goes into a bank account registered money that goes for income tax. I take 11% for my sales tax, and that goes into another account. I have 5%, which is my profit account. And all of that goes into my vacation, money that goes into that account for vacation. And the first time, and I started doing this 12 years ago. And I have to tell you, the first year I did it, and I had money to pay my taxes without having to beg, borrow to pay Paul and Peter. Yeah, you know where you're going.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so when I had the money, I mean, I literally had it. I danced going, oh my gosh, you mean if I set my money up in systems at the same time as marketing in systems, I can be able to have all the money I want and know everything where it's going. And then hiring a bookkeeper. That was another big one. Ooh, hiring a bookkeeper, which I wish, of all the things that I did in my first business, that's what I should have had as a bookkeeper. Because the bookkeeper, even if you're a small business, will help keep your profit and loss so that you'll know what expenses you're spending and where you're overspending, where you're underspending. You'll find out where your money's going. And that's really key. So yeah, I know that wasn't part of the conversation, but that's a big one.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's something that they need to be aware of. So, Molly, thank you so much for sharing systems, all the information about this, because this has been so powerful of how to get your life back without impacting the client experience, which of course is a big part of growing your business, and that retention and introductions and referrals. I know that our audience is going to know more about you and how they connect with you and find out more about you.
I would love to have them contact me. They can text me at 425-280-9088 or call me. You can also email me at molly@beautybusinessmastery.com, and we can set up a strategy call for you. Best way is to text me or email me, and then we can set up a time to do a strategy call so that I can help you out.
Okay. And for everybody who's with us on the live stream, I just put the correct phone number in there because I missed a digit. I missed the extra 8. And for those of you who are listening on the recording, this information will be included down below. You just click down into the notes and all of Molly's contact information will be there. And I want to thank you, Molly, so much for this really just a great conversation and just a reminder about how important this is, not only to save us our sanity in the moment, and as we're growing and building our business, but also on the back end when we're ready to sell a viable business. Thank you so much. And to all of our listeners who tuned in, I'm sure that you got as much value as I did out of this amazing conversation. And I want to thank you for listening and staying with us all these years, 9 years of the podcast. Thank you so much. And Molly, again, this has been a great conversation. I've been inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Lynn. I so appreciate it. Always love having time with you.
What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear about it. It's important to share the things you love. If you loved this episode, a 5-star review really helps keep the podcast coming to you regularly. Also, if you want to get more sales strategies to grow your business, make sure you subscribe right now. If you want to get results even faster, I invite you to download my sales strategy checklist at petitetoqueen.com/checklist. This has been Lynn Whitbeck, host of Claim Your Career Crown. I'll see you next time.